If you walk along the massive stone walls surrounding Cartagena's historic core on a humid afternoon, your eyes will naturally take in the drama of the scenery. Ancient cannons aimed at the turquoise Caribbean, thick stone watchtowers standing guard, and tourists taking photos against the weathered ramparts. The tour guides will tell you a very specific story about these battlements. They will tell you about royal Spanish architects, European military genius, and king's treasure protected from high seas pirates. It sounds grand, it sounds romantic, but if you run your fingers along the stone, you immediately realize that narrative is a lie. The story you've been told confuses the man who signed the check with the master who built the wall. Royal decrees don't cut stone, mix mortar, or survive 400 years of tropical salt air. When you look at the physical material of these walls through the lens of real field science, a completely different history emerges. You aren't looking at European engineering. You are looking at an unacknowledged masterclass in African and indigenous material science, a living continuum of stone mastery stretching from the Nile Valley and the Yucatan straight into the Caribbean basin. The secret chemistry of living coral. European stone techniques of the 1500s and 1600s were built for cold, dry climates. Spanish builders brought blueprints designed for European limestone and soft mortars. When they tried using those recipes on the scorching Caribbean coast, the results were catastrophic. The walls cracked, softened, and washed away under tropical rainstorms. European building manuals were completely useless in the tropics. To build something that wouldn't crumble, the actual workers on the ground had to invent a hyper-durable material from scratch. They didn't go inland looking for European-style rocks. Instead, they dove into the sea. They harvested living and fossilized brain coral and elkhorn coral from the ocean floor. Coral isn't just rock, it's a porous, calcium-rich skeleton made of aragonite. The builders dragged this coral ashore and burned it in massive kilns stoked with coastal mangrove wood, firing them up to extreme temperatures. This process, known as calcination, transformed raw ocean coral into a super reactive quicklime. They didn't stop there. They mixed this coral lime with fine beach sand, volcanic silts, and local organic binders, including sticky plant sap, tree resins, and animal fats. The result was a revolutionary, self-healing mortar. When rain hit these walls over the centuries, it didn't destroy them. The water reacted with the unslaked lime inside the core, causing the mortar to slowly recrystallize and fill its own microcracks. The wall was literally a synthetic coral reef, drying and hardening on land, getting stronger with every passing tropical storm, a trans-oceanic legacy in stone. This deep understanding of stone chemistry and thermal expansion didn't appear out of nowhere. It crossed the ocean inside the minds of the people who built it. 1. The Nile Valley Foundation. Along the Nile in Upper Nubia, Kush, and Waset, Thebes, African builders had spent thousands of years perfecting stone construction. They knew how to quarry massive blocks, handle thermal expansion under a brutal sun, and mix hydraulic mortars that could withstand the annual flooding of the Nile. When enslaved African artisans were forced onto ships, their chains could only hold their bodies. They could not chain their minds, their inherited engineering knowledge, or their somatic memory. 2. The Mayan connection. At the same time, the indigenous Maya of the Yucatan Peninsula were creating architectural marvels like Tulum and Chichen Itza. Living in a humid jungle, they learned to mix tree sap from the chukum tree into their limestone plaster to render massive temples completely waterproof. When indigenous populations like the Mokana and Zenu worked alongside African stonemasons in Cartagena, these two ancient engineering streams merged. They took African high-temperature kiln methods and combined them with indigenous botanical chemistry. The result was a hybrid fortification so tough that no European navy could ever knock it down. Reading the evidence on the wall. If you want to know who really built a structure, don't read the plaque on the front. Look at the tool marks on the stone. The imperial archives in Spain record the names of governors and generals who signed financial requisitions. But the walls themselves retain the physical signatures of the guild masters, kiln operators, quarrymen, and masons who actually did the work. The sloped walls, talud, of Castillo San Felipe weren't built that way for European style. They were angled to absorb the kinetic shock of cannonballs, bouncing cannon fire off the sloped face while the compressed coral and clay core dissipated the vibration. It was a structural design pulled directly from ancient Kushite and West African fortresses. The truth written in stone. Cartagena's fortress walls are not a monument to Spanish imperial power. They are an uncensored, open-air archive of African and indigenous genius. European governors supplied the money and the military orders, but money doesn't know how to cook ocean coral in a 1,000-degree mangrove fire. Orders don't know how to mix plant sap with sea sand to create self-healing mortar under a blistering equatorial sun. When you lay your hand against the rough, fossilized coral of Las Morales, you aren't touching European history. You are touching the preserved intelligence of master builders who took the brutal reality of forced labor and turned it into an indestructible monument of stone mastery. They built a citadel so tough that it outlasted the very empire that tried to claim their credit. The stone doesn't lie, it just waits for us to tell the story right.